Hello and welcome to CNN 10 on this 10th day of the 10th month of 2019. It's like a perfect 10. I'm Carl Azus, happy as always to have you watching. We're starting with an update from the Middle East. The nation of Turkey has begun a military operation in neighboring Syria. The two countries share a border. Syria has been torn apart by a civil war that started in 2011, and Turkey says terrorists have been trying to establish control along the border, and that its military offensive is intended to destroy that and bring peace to the region. Witnesses say Turkish warplanes have started launching airstrikes in some areas. Syria's government opposes the attacks. It says Turkey has hostile intentions and that it's trying to expand its territory into Syria. But other nations factor into this too. A few days ago, the United States announced it would move its troops out of northern Syria as Turkey prepared for its attacks. About 1,000 American forces were there to keep stability and help U.S. allies hunt down terrorists. Now, international observers are concerned that those U.S. allies might be threatened. Turkey sees them as terrorists who've launched attacks against the Turkish government for decades. One group that America supports says it will fight Turkish forces along the Syrian border, and U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested that if Turkey goes too far in harming America's allies in the region, the U.S. will wreck Turkey's economy. Several other nations, including the Netherlands, Germany, and Egypt, have all spoken out against Turkey's military actions in Syria. One possible side effect they're concerned about is that the Turkish operation will cause civilians in the area to leave their homes, leading to a new wave of refugees in an already war-torn country. Turkey says its mission is to establish safe zones near the border where refugees can be resettled. 10-second trivia. Which of these scientists invented dynamite in the 1860s? Albert Einstein, Alfred Nobel, Nikola Tesla, or Thomas Edison? It was Alfred Nobel, namesake of the Nobel Peace Prize, who invented dynamite.
At the age of 28, the young Marie met and married a French scientist named Pierre Curie. Together in their laboratory in Paris, they shared in the research that isolated T03.
800,000 homes, businesses, and other buildings have lost electricity in Northern California. Stores have sold out of backup generators. Several school districts have canceled classes. Some traffic lights are dark. And though this could last for a week in some places, no single event has caused it. This is a safety measure. Pacific Gas and Electric, the largest utility company in America's most populated state, is responding to a weather forecast. Northern California is said to be under extreme danger because of high winds and dry conditions. Those are key ingredients in wildfires, and PG&E is trying to prevent them from flaring up by cutting off electricity. The company's equipment has been blamed for causing a number of wildfires in the past, and it's agreed to pay billions of dollars in damages. It says it's probable that the Camp Fire, California's deadliest blaze that struck last year, started when PG&E equipment made contact with nearby trees. It says this power outage is a last resort to prevent wildfires. But critics say the company ought to improve its equipment so that it won't have to shut down electricity whenever conditions are dangerous. Even after the winds die down, PG&E says it'll take several days to make sure nothing is damaged before it turns the lights back on. A reusable packaging company is trying to change grocery shopping. Instead of buying ice cream, for example, and later tossing out the cheap carton, the so-called milkman model would deliver dessert in a nicer container, like the milk bottles used by your great-grandparents, and that container would be returned, cleaned, and reused. There are downsides. You can't pick up your products immediately, and it takes a lot of shipping, so what's environmentally friendly in terms of packaging isn't in terms of the effort required to get it to and from your home. But if it takes off, it could help close the loop on trash.
Tom Zaki is on a mission to eliminate the concept of waste.
The act of throwing something away in itself isn't bad. It's actually incredibly convenient. The problem is where it ends up.
And it's a big problem. About 91% of plastic waste ever created has never been recycled. So Zaki decided to go to the source, to target the companies making the kind of single-use plastic containers that constantly end up in the trash. And he started with the 4 largest consumer goods companies in the world. Combined, their sales totaled almost $285 billion in 2018.
We went to all these major companies saying, here's this new big idea, come take a risk on it, and let's ideally change the world in the process.
He called the big idea Loop. His pitch to consumers? Buy the same household products you already love plus a small deposit, and we'll send them to you in durable, reusable packaging. When you're done, return them to be cleaned, refilled, and reused by someone else.
How hard of a sell was this to, manufacturers and companies?
Loop is a gargantuan ask, because we're going into a Procter & Gamble and saying, reinvent the packaging of these world-famous products completely. Build production lines to fill this reinvented package. Oh, and by the way, I have no proof if anyone's going to buy it at all. But they said yes because they know that there's a garbage crisis and they really don't want to contribute to it.
And Nestle didn't need much convincing.
We've invested so much time, energy, people resources, and dollars because as we think forward to the future, we know consumers will demand more recyclable products, more reusable products. And so Project Loop is a way for us to tip our toe into this territory and really learn a lot.
In the end, Nestle, along with Procter & Gamble, PepsiCo, Unilever, Clorox, and others, took the leap.
Loop is an ecosystem. If it was just one company making a few products, it wouldn't work. Right. You need everyone coming together. And it sort of became this sort of, snowball effect where as it got bigger, the more and more companies joined even faster and faster.
Loop launched in early 2019 in a few cities with about 300 products. Since then, Zaki says more than 10,000 people have signed up. It's expanding to more cities as well, and soon the products will be available in major retailers like Walgreens and Kroger.
What's neat is you could buy it at one retailer and return it to another. So it really creates this nice network effect. We're adding a brand every day. And so, things you'll see are from pet products to automotive products, not just one type of shampoo, but, a dozen different types of shampoo, and everything really growing and pushing each other.
We still don't know if Loop will catch on.
What do you think has to change in regards to the consumer's mindset in order for them to adopt this new model you're proposing?
I believe that asking the consumer to change anything is an uphill battle. I think it's much easier to ask the model what it can do to match the convenience the consumer wants. Loop is not the first refill idea out there at all, but none of them have really taken off, and I would argue it's because it's less convenient to the consumer than throw it away and buy a new one. The more we make it feel like a disposable lifestyle, the easier it will be to get mass adoption.
And that mass adoption, that's really key here.
It's everything. I think a lot of people are going to think about whether there's a future in reuse by whether we succeed or not. Because all the world's major manufacturers are saying, we're going to give it a shot. And Loop is their shot.
We've heard of turbochargers, superchargers, nitrous oxide, but what this car has under the hood is nuts. Walnuts. After hearing noises and smelling burning, the woman who owns this SUV looked under the hood and found that squirrels apparently stored 200 walnuts right there, along with some grass. Took about an hour to clean everything out, but the car was fine. Of course, it could probably use a tune-up. It may be pistachio overdue for an oil change. You should always check the filbert and make sure you concede that everything else is pine. You don't need to be a master macadamiac to make sure your engine is running like butternut. I'm Carl Azuz, driven to make puns on CNN.